7 years ago, I moved into a 4-bedroom house with 3 friends. I was the only man among the 3 girls, and our living arrangement quickly established a routine. During the week, Mia and I would share breakfast before she headed to bed, and I left for work. About 5 months into our cohabitation, Mia began dating Jack. To help him integrate into our group, she invited him to one of our game nights. Initially, everything seemed fine. Jack assumed that I was just another one of the girls' boyfriends, especially since we were all gathered in the dining room, which was adjacent to my room. However, the atmosphere shifted when Jack witnessed me briefly stepping into my room to fetch a sweater. Shortly after, he saw the roommate he believed I was dating head upstairs to grab her phone charger. This realization changed everything for Jack. He began to question who I was dating. Clearly taken aback when my roommates confirmed that I lived in the house and had my own room without any romantic entanglements with them. Although he attempted to save face by saying he was just surprised to see a man living with 3 women, it was evident that he was uncomfortable with the situation. From that moment on, things started to escalate. Jack began arriving at our house right after I got off work and would only leave when Mia headed to work. He seemed to monitor my movements closely. If I ventured out of my room to the living room, he would question why I was there, and if I went to the kitchen, he would make comments about me being disrespectful to him and Mia. His behavior became increasingly possessive, especially when he would physically assert himself around Mia, almost to the point of being aggressive, practically grinding against her and kissing her passionately in front of us. He even went so far as to complain about me doing laundry, saying I was ruining the mood. Mia recognized Jack's problematic behavior and started suggesting that they spend time in her room instead. Unfortunately, this change only led to even more inappropriate antics, including some of the most obnoxious sounds we had ever heard coming from her room. Emma, another roommate, and I often laughed off the situation and chose to leave Mia and Jack alone, but the tension was palpable. The situation reached a breaking point when Jack got drunk one night before Mia left for work. Emma and I insisted he stay in Mia's room to sleep it off. The following morning, after Mia returned home and began making breakfast for us, Jack stumbled down and erupted in a fit of rage. He accused Mia of cheating on him and made absurd claims about my relationships with all the girls in the house. In a moment of utter absurdity, he demanded that I reimburse Mia for the food she was wasting on me. Emma and I decided it was time for a serious conversation with Mia. We told her that if Jack couldn't accept me living there, he should no longer be allowed to come over. Mia requested a week to sort things out, insisting that Jack was merely surprised to see her making breakfast for me and that he was not thinking clearly in the moment. We agreed to give her that time. During that week, things took a strange turn. We began to notice odd occurrences. The grocery jar that we all contributed to was mysteriously being emptied. My clean dishes would be left in the sink instead of being put away, and some of my belongings started to disappear from common areas only to show up in my room. Emma and I started piecing together what was happening. We suspected Jack was stirring chaos in our household. His behavior was becoming increasingly troubling, and we could see the tension building not just between Jack and me, but also affecting the overall harmony of our living situation. Out of curiosity about where Jack's actions would lead, Emma and I decided to observe the situation closely. A week later, Emma received a call from her mother expressing concern. Apparently, a worried individual had been sending Emma's mom pictures and stories, alleging that I was trashing the house and stealing from it. Jack hoped this would get me into trouble, but fortunately for me, my landlord was genuinely concerned about my well-being and wanted Emma to help me through whatever I was supposedly going through. With this newfound information, I started planning my petty revenge. The first step was to eliminate the grocery jar we had in the kitchen. This jar was a communal fund where each of us would contribute a small amount, usually around $10 or $15, for shared groceries. I decided to divide the remaining money in the jar evenly among the 4 of us, explaining to my roommates that due to Jack's raid on our stash, the jar needed to go. Jack did not take this well. When I asked him what he thought about my decision, He claimed it was rude for me to make such a unilateral choice. However, Emma backed me up, emphasizing that my actions were justified. Following that, I started spending more time with Emma in the living room every day, which irked Jack. However, Mia told him that it was our house and we could do as we pleased. Whenever Jack ventured into the kitchen, one of us would ask him what he was doing in our fridge. After 2 days of this, he stopped going into the kitchen altogether. As the weekend approached, we knew Mia would have an extra overnight shift, and Jack planned to stay in her room. That Friday, Emma and I devised our biggest petty move. We hung out in Mia's room, right next to Jack's, making it obvious that we were alone there. This caught Jack's attention, and we exaggerated our activities by shaking the bed and making some noise, simulating the idea that something more intimate was happening. It was a bit awkward, but undeniably entertaining. Within minutes, we received a text from Mia asking what we were doing. Emma replied that we were just playing video games. After about 10 minutes of bed shaking, we actually turned on a game and played in silence. When Emma suggested a FaceTime session, Mia saw exactly what we wanted her to see: me beating Emma in Mario Party. We continued this act for a few hours, building up to the finale of our little scheme. We made a big deal about me needing to go back to my room before Mia returned home, and Jack fell for it. We could see him peering through the slightly open door, trying to get a glimpse of what was happening. Emma and I then staged a kiss, which was entirely fake but served its purpose. After that, I casually moved to the living room, and shortly afterward Mia came home. She found me watching a movie, something normal for me. When she asked what was going on, I told her I had been up playing video games all night with Emma. Mia informed me that Jack had claimed we were involved in some sort of relationship. I assured her that this wasn't the case, and she seemed skeptical. She went to bed that night, but the next day, Mia called a house meeting without Jack. She revealed that Jack had been making accusations about Emma and me hiding our relationship from her. We all insisted that Jack was lying and explained how he had attempted to frame me by going to Emma's mom with those allegations. Mia then asked our other roommate if she had heard anything unusual from the bedroom. Without skipping a beat, she replied that all she heard was me calling Emma my beach during our Mario Party sessions and the usual banter, confirming that we were not being intimate. When Mia inquired about the grocery jar, we all expressed our suspicions that Jack had been behind its disappearance. The following day, Mia broke up with Jack for trying to manipulate her and turn her against us. She confronted him, calling him a liar and a thief. Months later, Mia started dating another guy who turned out to be wonderful, and they eventually got married. I was even a bridesman at their wedding. The best part of this entire saga was when Jack ended up working as part of the waitstaff at the wedding. I had the opportunity to share the story of how Emma and I once pretended to be intimate to get back at a thief. Mia was fully aware of the entire story and was not bothered by it at all.